Hey, 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 it's an unstoppable day. Take two, take two. We are back with the Unstoppable Story Show. I tell you guys, you just can't make this stuff up sometimes. You realize that when you put something out there to the universe is going to challenge you each and every time to see if you can live up to what you put out there. It's the law of attraction. And I have said to the universe that I am unstoppable and I am attracting all types of things to see if I am actually going to live up to what it is that I say I am. Unstoppable. And this is just the latest event. And Facebook just tried to shut me down while I was doing the show. Believe that, believe that. And I'm here doing this phenomenal show with this phenomenal guest, and we're just talking, and Facebook has just gone and shut us down. But that's all right. We are back. We are live, and I just want you to come on in, swipe and share while as we wait for our guest Charles Prinzen Jr. to come back on. We are bringing light to the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. As many of you know, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and last week we had with Devereaux on, and we talked about domestic violence from a female's point of view, and now we have a male point of view this week in Charles D. Prinzen, who is talking about generational abuse. And before we were cut off, he was telling us his story of how by the age of 18 he had already experienced in his life alcohol abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, separation, abandonment, and just more than any young man should have to deal with in 16 years of his life. But God, but God still had a plan for Charles. But God still had an outlet for Charles in sports. And he was just telling us how he had lettered in 5 sports, and he had found something that he loved to do, something that could distract him from everything that was happening on the other side of his life after school and stuff that he had to go home to. So I am hoping and believing that he got the new link and he will be back and up soon. But in the meantime, come on in, swipe and share, swipe and share. Randall Phillips is watching. Michael Roach is watching. Beverly Pugh, LaSherie Scott. Hey, LaSherie. Charles Princeton is watching. Come on, Charles. I sent you the link in Messenger. So go ahead and click that new link. Arthur Maria Vega. Hey, beautiful. Hey, sis, how are you? Hey, Cedric. Thank you guys for watching. So, Charles, go ahead and click on that link that I sent you in Messenger, and you should be able to pop right in like you did at the beginning. So, we are waiting for you to come on in. And while we're waiting for Charles to come back in, if you have experienced domestic violence in your life, whether personally or whether through an association of family or friends, just put in the comment section, yes, I have. And if you feel so inclined, share a little bit of your story. It could just be one sentence. If you experience physical abuse, or if you had a friend who's gone through sexual abuse, or if you have a colleague that went through a combination of everything, just put that in the comments, because Charles and I, we want to reach out to you. We want to provide our support to you. We want to provide resources to you to pass on to whomever it may be that that's dealing with domestic violence. It's important that we shed a light on this to let people know that this is not acceptable in any shape, form, or fashion. No one should have to experience what Charles has already experienced. Hey, Tanya Williams. Hey, Cindy Joy. Thank you guys for watching the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. While we are waiting for Charles to come in, Charles has this wonderful portfolio, that really tells his story up to this point, and it is the Charles G. Prinzen folder. And he is the founder of this organization called Me Inc. Now. And I really love what it stands for, because it stands for me expressing I need change now. And that's important, because if any of us who are trying to quote unquote change the world, in order for you to be able to change the world, change first has to start with me. You have to point the finger back at yourself. If you are not willing to change me, how will you ever be able to change the world? But here's the one thing I also know, that if you are not willing to change me, you are changing the world at the same time. And most of the times you're changing the world for the worse, not the better. Because now the world only gets to see the worst of you. And there are people watching you, just like there are people watching me. You may think that you don't matter because you've gone through domestic violence. You may think that you're not worthy because you've gone through abuse. You may think that nobody cares about you or what you think. But let me tell you, you were created for a reason, and God doesn't make mistakes. And He created each one of us for a purpose. And if we don't change the me inside of us, then we don't get closer to walking in our purpose. And our purpose isn't for us, our purpose is always for somebody else. But if you're not walking in your purpose and I'm not walking in my purpose, then we are not only doing injustice to ourselves, we're doing an injustice to the people that are looking to us for the help that they need to change their me, so that they in turn can do their part to change the world as well. So when you change your inside, then the outside will automatically change as well. It's the me that I need to change now. That is what Charles Prinzen is working on. And so hopefully, Charles, mic check, mic check. If you're not able to get in, then you might have to come out. You got to go out of the Facebook and just click the link. Go to your Facebook Messenger, click that link just like you did before, and it's going to pop up on your phone. Just like you did earlier. You are unstoppable, Charles. You can make this happen. And while we're waiting for Charles, he's in the chat room, so I know Charles is seeing me. So amen, Charles. Yeah. Cindy Joy says, good word. Thank you so much, Cindy. Let us know where you're watching us from. No, Charles, it's not the invite like you would do for a Facebook Live. You've got to go back to the link. That special link brings you into the broadcast and not the other people. Maria Vega says that's right. Fabulous. And she also says that yes, she has experienced abuse. And Maria, I know you're in from Texas, Galveston, Texas. If you want to share some of that while we are waiting for our guests to come on, then this is a safe place. This is a safe space. We honor everybody for their ability to speak up and to speak out. So we definitely would love to hear your story as well. Randall Phillips, good evening, sir. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the Unstoppable Story Show. Cindy Joy is watching us from Dallas. It's a great state of Dallas. You're in our prayers. I know that Hurricane Willa is supposed to be coming through Mexico and headed straight to Texas. So hopefully you guys are taking the necessary precautions. Hopefully, as it goes across Mexico and into Texas, the mountains of Mexico will diminish its hurricane force, and you guys will be spared a little bit, nothing more than a little bit of rain, So shout out to you guys and everybody who's in the path of Hurricane Villa. Hurricane is very similar to abuse. It comes through like a raging storm, and sometimes it comes out of nowhere. You just don't know what causes the abuse. You don't know what the trigger is that leads to abuse. But when it comes, man, it comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And domestic violence has done just that, to millions of people across the country. It's either killed some people, it's stolen their virginity, stolen their future, or it's just destroyed them to the point that they not only go from victims, that they become abusers as well. And Charles is one of those people. Charles, he was born in 1955, and as I said to you earlier, by the age of 16, he had already seen abuse. He's already lived with abuse, from alcohol abuse to physical abuse to emotional abuse to abandonment to depression. You name it, he dealt with it. And as he grew older, he went from the effects of seeing abuse into the monster that now had become the abuser in his life to his family. And we really want him to get back on so he can tell his story, because he can tell it better than I can. Cindy Joyce says, I have a domestic violence ministry page called Survivor's Pathway on Facebook. Okay. Tell us a little bit more about Survivor's Pathway. What's the mission of Survivor's Pathway on Facebook, Cindy? I'd love to hear more about it. And you can also put the link in here to your page. Feel free to use this to spread awareness about what you're doing for domestic violence awareness in your community. I appreciate you for sharing that with us. All right, Charles, looking for you to come on back, buddy. You are unstoppable. Go to your messenger page, click that link, and let's see. All right. I'm going to try this again. Maybe something happened on my end that didn't allow it to go through. All right. Try it again. I just sent it to you again, Charles. It looks like it had stopped it from going through at first. Hopefully you can get it this time. I think we have it. All right. I think we have it. Here we go. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. All righty. We've got Charles Prinzen back in the building. You are unstoppable, sir.
Unreal.
Oh, wow. I tell you, man, each and every week, that's why I love doing this show. Because, if you do not believe in what it is that you do, no one else is going to believe in it either. And the universe doesn't believe. They clearly don't know who I am. They don't believe that I am unstoppable. They don't believe that you can hit me with a throat infection and I'm still going to do this show. They don't believe that you can block me on Facebook and I'm still going to do this show. They don't believe that there are people that need to hear this message, so they're going to do the best to block it. But we are unstoppable. And we are back on the air. Welcome again, Charles Prinzen. How are you?
Blessed every day.
Yes, indeed. Come on, Coach. So, I did my best to put into 4 seconds what you've already talked about in the first 20 minutes of our segment. So I want you to go back and reintroduce yourself, and then we'll just pick up from where we were. And we talked about your abusive relationships that you had to experience, and then we'll transition to how it affected you as you became a man. Okay, so just reintroduce yourself real quick.
I am Charles Prinzen Jr., otherwise known as Coach Chuck, and I live in Fairfield, California, which is close to Napa.
All right. And so, Chuck, you have dealt with domestic violence from many different levels in your first years of life. Thank God you are now 62, about to be 63, and you have done greater things despite what you went through growing up. growing up as a child in a home where there was an abuser of domestic violence, and then there was also alcohol abuse in your family. There was depression in your household. There was abandonment in your household. There was separation in your household, all before the age of 16, correct?
Yes.
And you said you found your outlet at the age of 16 to deal with all that through sports. And you lettered in 5 sports while you were in high school, correct?
Yeah, yep. Football, track, water polo, wrestling, and swimming.
All right. So let's pick it up from there. So how did sports help you deal or help you become distracted from all the things that was happening at home?
Well, first of all, sports allows you to stay after school. And football lasts until sometimes 6 or 7 o'clock, or if it's a game night, you're out all night, till 10, 11. And so it kept me away from going home. This is my sophomore year, going home and dealing with the stuff. That's even if the parents were home, because sometimes they would leave. But it allowed me, and then while I was doing that, I had coaches that saw through me. And they saw that I had issues. And they kind of sort of helped me along the way. They kind of sort of gave me that outlet. And if I wasn't that good, they still allowed me to participate and give me the feeling of being wanted, which was huge for me.
Did your coaches have any idea what was going on with you at home? Were you able or strong enough to share that with them?
The only one that really knew anything about my issues at home, because he drove me home a couple times, was my water polo coach.
Okay. And how was that interaction with him?
He actually happened to be my science teacher also, and so I had him twice a day for science, and then I had and he treated me kind. He talked to me. We didn't bring up things that happened at home. We brought up more of positive things that, if you do this, if you practice a little harder, if you change your stroke, if you do the egg beater, whatever it might be, if the positive things to allow me to become better at what I did. And if I became better at what I did, then that made me happy, and it kept that negative thought out, kind of sort of like blocked it a little bit.
And so as you participated in sports, what were you able to block out things that were happening at home, or was it still in the back of your mind even while you were participating in the sports?
No, I still had to go. Eventually, I still had to go home to it. I had to go home to the alcohol. I had to go home to the fighting. I had to go home to the embarrassment of sometimes bringing a friend for a sleepover and never knowing when something was going to explode. So it was just something I had to deal with until I ran away at 16, and I just got out of the house. He had gotten my mom, beat her up, and then it was my turn in this. He advanced to me. At 16 years old, I was kind of sort of more physical, into wrestling and stuff like that. And I kind of fend myself off, and I ran out the door, and I went right to my mentor, which had been somebody that I would go to when I could, that would comfort me with conversation and positive energy.
Wow. Yeah, we're talking to Charles Prinzen Jr. He is the founder of the organization Me Inc. Now, which stands for Me Expressing I Need Change Now. And he's going to get into how he came about coming up with this organization. But right now, we're talking about and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it just had to be a tormentous journey of dealing with this cycle of abuse that you dealt with in the first 16 years of your life. But now you said at 16 you ran away. So let's pick it up from there. Where'd you run away to? And then how did life change for you?
I like I said, I had a mentor, and it just so happened to be a female. She was 2 years older than me, Japanese. Actually, she's Japanese Irish. And she was a kind-hearted person. She was a senior at my high school, and I really don't know how we connected. It wasn't a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. It was a friendship. And she became a mentor to me where if there was nobody around the house or even I could stay out. Look, I got to stay out. My stepdad was a merchant marine. And sometimes when he was off at sea, I ran amok on my mom. I'll be honest with you. And I stayed out late. But I stayed out late and I went to my sister's house, actually Sharon's house, and she listened to me and she comforted me and until I had to go home. So when I ran away, I ran out the door. I kind of sort of fended myself off because blows were coming my way, and I ran out the door. And I actually had a friend there watching this while it happened. He ran with me, and we went to my mentor's house. And because my mentor told her mother, which was a Japanese widowed mother with two daughters, one senior in high school and one in the second grade, she adopted me. She illegally adopted me and took the money from the state of California, bought me clothes, which I didn't have. I had to go to the lost and found or steal clothes or whatever. And she raised me for 3 years, through my sophomore year of high school, my junior year, my senior year. I graduated and then I moved on. But Mom legally adopted me and started showing me what love was all about. And it was kind of sort of strange because I didn't come from that environment, and it took me a while to adjust, but it was pretty cool.
Wow. And I love it. And you know, again, we're talking to Charles Prinzen Jr. He is the founder of the organization Me Inc. Now, me expressing I need change now on the Unstoppable Story Show. You would think right there at that moment, 16, the great white hope came in, and this mentor came and took you from this abuse and took you into her home and adopted you, and that's the end of the story. Roll credits, have a nice night. But that ain't the end of the story of this generational abuse, because now we fast forward into you being an adult and you moved from being abused to being the abuser, correct?
Yes. Yes.
As much as you want to share, tell us how that cycle now started in your own life of being the abuser.
Well, along with the life that I had and the violence and everything, I have acquired PTSD. You do not have to be in war. You do not have to be in a medical field where you're doing emergency work on people and all this gory stuff. All you have to do is be traumatized sometime in your life that causes you to have issues. And so on top of all I had, I was dealing with PTSD. So I was a walking time bomb at any time. So I had a girlfriend. We met through the family, the alcoholics, and we stayed together until my junior year, where we became parents, and we separated. So after that, I actually became the boyfriend of my foster mother's niece, and we stayed together for 5 years. Now, I always had my issues. We fought back and forth, but I never put my hands on her until after we were married. And I didn't beat her up, but I did because she attacked me, put her hands on me. I got defensive, and I whacked her and said, "Don't put your hands on me, and I won't put my hands on you." That was a defensive mechanism called reflex that happened. It wasn't part of me being an abuser or the knowledge of being an abuser. We got annulled in 30 days. We were together 5 years. We should have never got married. We got married, and I hit her 2 times, and we ended up getting an annulment. So life went on. I found another girlfriend. We had a daughter, and I found myself not only in drugs and alcohol and doing stupid stuff, working every single day. I worked on the docks, but I became aggressive, and I would backhand her. I would actually not just backhand her. One time I kicked her in the butt. She was bent over, and I kicked her in the butt. Okay. Again, I want to be very, very clear. Please do not judge me for who I was, accept me for who I am. And we're going to get into that. So that's why we're having this story. Right?
How old were you then, Chuck, at that point?
I was 20, I'm going to say 25.
Okay. And now we mentioned just a tad bit earlier about you were experiencing PTSD. Did you know at 25 that that's what you were experiencing?
I didn't know I had anything. I would wake up every single morning to go throughout my day smoking dope, drinking beer, working on the docks, doing whatever, playing softball, playing football, doing the things that made me happy. And I had no clue that I had a leech or leeches attached to me.
Right. And you mentioned at the beginning of the show that there was this monster inside of you. So at the age of 25, did you have any recognition that this monster was lurking, trying to get out?
Yeah, towards the end of my relationship with my second daughter's mother,
Take your time. Take your time.
I was abusing my stepdaughter. I would get upset. I would get out of control, and I was throwing her from one side of the room to the other against the wall.
Wow.
No, that's how about capital W-O? And something, I'm sorry, something snapped. Something hit me and said, this is not right. Something is wrong. How can you have gone through the life that you went through, do what you're doing? I went and sought help. I went to a psychiatrist. I sat down, I told the psychiatrist what had happened and what I was going through, and that's when I was diagnosed with PTSD. And then he told me that I had traits. I looked at him and I said, what is a trait? And he said, a trait is something that you will pick up in your lifetime, whether it's a positive trait or it's a negative trait, that you have been around in your life on a daily basis that will attach itself to you, and eventually you will start being that individual. Basically, Mr. Prinzen, your stepdad Cal is coming out in you. Whoa, time out. Cut the line is when that opened up my eyes about traits and generational cycles.
And by that time, you mentioned in your book that you weren't having any contact with Cal, right? It had been years since you had any contact with him, correct?
The last time I saw Cal is when I had to deal with him and all the alcoholics burying my mother. She passed away on Mother's Day, 1979, and they buried her. And at the funeral parlor, they were cussing, they were drunk, they were putting things around her head in the casket, they were kissing her all over, leaving lipstick marks. And I just had to sit there and eat it.
And
my mother was gone. My mother was gone. Okay, had been gone. I let my mother go a year earlier when she tried to force alcohol down me, and I didn't want it. I walked away from my mother and said, Pat's alive. So I had to disassociate myself with my mother because I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I was 21 at that time. So a year later, my mom passes away on Mother's Day because of too much abuse and alcohol. Her body finally gave out, and it took them 8 hours to find me. to tell me my mother had passed. So during the services, all the drunks came, and I mean, they were drunk, they were obnoxious, they were cussing, and they were doing stuff that unreal. The bottom line is, we buried my mother in Cypress, California, Southern California, and I got to put her to rest. I actually left her with a necklace that I had bought. It was a seagull, and it was a silver seagull with a battery in the back and it had a red eye, and I put a brand new battery in that seagull, and I put it on her chest. Hopefully it's still shining.
Wow, man. I told you guys this was going to be raw. This was going to be real. This wasn't going to be PG. It's really, if there's any such thing, is actually double R, but it's important. It's important for you to see how generational curses can affect people years after the events have happened. You guys, you're watching the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrance Leftridge, the extended version. You see, it's already 9 o'clock Eastern time, and we're usually off by now. But this was important. This was important enough in this month of shedding spotlight on domestic violence awareness for you guys to get a man's version of domestic violence, a raw, real, transparent version. And you can see by the comments in the chat room that Jackie is saying awesome transparency. Author Maria Vega is saying, I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for being so transparent. Diamond Queen is saying, oh my God, Terrance, thank you for having him on the show. And these comments, Chuck, they're coming from women. That they're not, as you said earlier, they are not judging you for who you were. They're looking at you as you are, being transparent and shedding light on what you went through, on the positive as well as the negative, and recognizing that that's not the end of your story. That actually, as we look at you today, and as you're going to talk further, that actually positions you for the purpose that you're walking in right now. And tell us what that purpose is that you're walking in right now.
I'm walking in the purpose to help more so women, men also, but this is for my mother, because I wish my mother would have left. She left many times, but she kept going back. She had a disease, and that disease was alcohol. And she was afraid to leave because men can be overwhelming, not just physically, but emotionally, and saying, you're not going to be anything without me. You're going to go hungry. You're going to do this. So let me tell you, every time my mom left, we were on welfare and off welfare. I was on welfare more times and off welfare more times than you do shows, Terrance. The bottom line is, this is for me to explain to the women that are fighting and hoping to try to get away from that. You can if you choose. And so Me Inc. now, me expressing I need change now, is about taking that step and taking care of me. You can't take care of 2, 3, 4, 5 if you don't take care of number 1, which is me. It's not being selfish. It's being real. Okay? And if my mom would have had this strength, she may still be here today, but she's not. And because of that, I had to come up with this. God is good every day, Terrance, every day. I made a promise at 3 years old to my Lord that if he would let me get old, when I got beat at 3 years old and my mother got beat, if you let me get old, I will make it right. I promise you, God, Jesus loves me. Yes, I know. I'm 62 years old and I'm making it right. And you're helping me by letting me have this time to share. Me expressing I need change now is you allowing yourself to change by expressing yourself that it's okay to break away from that negativity. Find the strength within me to get away so that you can have a better life. And so for all of you that are struggling to think that you can't, you can get away. There's help out there. And I'm one of them.
And
Okay.
how did you come to the point of recognizing that I needed to change me? And then what did you do? How did you go about doing that?
Well, obviously you heard all the issues that I had. There's a long
Absolutely.
list of them. And in order for me to be who I am today, I had to get rid of them. I had to cut the line. I had to change. And when I changed the abuse or the domestic violence, and I found out from that doctor that that I had something embedded in me that I had no idea that I had. We go through our lives every single day, like the Groundhog's Day, the movie, over and over and over again, and we don't make that change. We just go through life because we think that's the way it is. Well, it's not. And so what I did was, from that moment the doctor told me I had Cal in me, I cut the line, and the other generational cycles of abuse, alcohol, abandonment, suicide. I'm illiterate because of all the schools that I went to. I'm getting by. I cut the line and I started learning to become more positive.
Mm. So, what positive things do you do now that you didn't do 20 years ago?
Well, first of all, let's just say, I think I told you all that I had a 14, 15-year-old Hawaiian girl that we got pregnant. I was 17. She was 15. When our daughter was born, I had issues. We didn't stay together. We separated. 33 years later, when I cleaned my act up, she lost her husband. I went through a 22-year divorce, and God gave her back to me for round two. We've been
Mm.
together 13 years. You met her, Terrance. You
Yeah.
met my baby. She
Mm.
is my strength. She knows the monster. She knows who I was, and she knows who I am today, and that's my blessing.
So, you've been able to rekindle old relationships and start them anew. You've been able to reconnect with your children as well, right? And you have three football teams worth of grandchildren, correct?
Well, we just celebrated our fourth great grandchild. I think it was 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and so between hers, mine, and ours, all the kids that we had during the course of us not being together, still having number one, she's the oldest. We have 16 grandchildren and four great grandchildren. So yeah,
Wow.
we pretty much got a football
Look,
team.
look at God. Look at God. And I just want to say, congratulations to you for two things. I want to say congratulations to you for allowing God to answer your prayer when you were younger. Thank God for that. And then number two, I want to congratulate you on allowing God to use your story to help others. And you can just see in this short time tonight how many people you are helping. I want to read this comment from Cindy Joy, and I want you to connect. Cindy, I want you to connect with Chuck. Chuck, I want you to connect with Cindy if you haven't already, because Cindy has a domestic violence support group in Dallas. And if she's doing things in Dallas and you're doing things in California and Hawaii, why can't you guys do those things together? So Cindy says, when I was in abuse, I was so focused on surviving, I didn't really understand what I was putting my children through. The things that Charles went through formed his brokenness. I hope if others are scared to leave, you can. And you need to for your children if you have any. We can break generational curses like Charles has. Things and people can change. Wow.
Amen.
What what
Amen.
what what do you how do you respond to Cindy in that comment?
I respond to say that it look, moms are strong. Moms go through what they have to go through to have their children, so they're strong. but their support system sometimes can be very weak, which allows them to be weak and not feel that they have the strength. So for Cindy, and I have touched bases with her. I think we became friends yesterday or today.
Okay. Good.
The ladies of today need to hear not just my side, but her side and the ladies that she represents. The same as we know that we have a friend of ours that is dealing with this also in Cat Dawn. Be strong for them. And I think the number one thing is show them love, show them affection, and help them understand, because the monster grabs a hold like an octopus with all these legs and suffocates these women to where they don't believe they have anything and that they cannot survive without that monster.
Yeah.
And so for Cindy and Kat and all the other ones that I will reach out and help any way I can, because again, you've heard it from the female side. I'm so thankful that you allowed me to do it from the male side, because yes, as a child, as a man, as a child, to have seen the things that I saw, and for you to allow me to open up as a man, women need to hear this. Again, most abusers were abused.
Yes.
Most alcoholics came from alcoholism. Most drug addicts were from drug. Most people that are incarcerated, because I do go to prisons and I speak at prisons, were from an environment of negativity that
Yeah.
caused them to do what they did.
Yeah. Sadly, hurt people hurt people. And it's so true. And I again, I applaud you for being strong enough now to come and do this. I don't know if 40 years ago you would have been strong enough to do what you're doing today. But God found something within you that allowed you to be willing to change me so that me could now go out and change the world. And it doesn't matter when it happened, it matters that it happened. And it goes to show that it's never too late. It's never too late for you to change. And if you change you first, then you can change the world after that. Yes?
Well, this is it. My promise to God at 3 years old, my prayer to allow me to get old, is my purpose. It's my passion. It's who I am. And through the course of the years, I've seen doors open up that would go like, how did that, what? He is continuing to watch over me to make sure that the purpose and the promise that I made to him at 3 years old happens. And I wake up every single day with the purpose and the passion to help others understand that generational cycles can be shut off and you can take care of me.
I love it. I love it. You guys are watching the Unstoppable Stories show with Terrance Leftridge and our guest, Charles Prinzen Jr., the founder of Me Inc. Now, me expressing I need change now. And you wanted to really get this point across, and I wanted to let you spend our final minutes bringing this point across. You said, never forget where you came from. Why is that so important as we talk about generational abuse, to never forget where you came from?
The pain, the hurt, the sorrow are embedded in me. I was so deep in the mind. I went into a shell as a child. That was I went into a shell, and I was so deep in the mind that I would not let any light in until things started happening where, like my foster mother, opened up cracks, and it allowed me to open up and feel the love. And when I felt that positive, I felt what it really felt like, then I was not just encouraged, but I was entrusted to be a messenger with my purpose through God to help others understand that it doesn't matter where you come from, you can make a difference in change. So for me, never forgetting where I come from is never forgetting the ugliness, never forgetting the pain, never forgetting my mother being so beat up that you couldn't even recognize her. That is where I will never forget I came from, and I'm going to be here until my last breath. I will be unstoppable until my last breath, reaching out to others for help.
I love it. I love it. And it's so key that the words you just said, and you mentioned in your introduction in the first segment of our show that you're looking to be a future speaker. I don't want you to be a future speaker. Time out for that future speaker stuff. You, in fact, are a messenger. And why are you a messenger? Because there's never a message without there first being a mess. And you've gone through some mess, and that mess has formed your message. Now you have to share your message with the world. And who shares their message with the world? A messenger. So I want you to be like the Pony Express. I want you to be like UPS. I want you to be like I want you to be like USPS. I want you to go out and be the messenger that, watch this. God created you to be 62 years ago. You may not have believed it at 2. You may not have believed it at 12. You may not have believed it at 22, 32, 42, even 52. But at 62, almost 63 years of age, you have realized and recognized that not your mess is not the issue. Your message is what matters.
Amen.
And I thank you for stepping up to be one of the messengers of generational abuse. How you can go through, grow through, and then come back and help other people change as well. I applaud you for this, and our audience loves you. And Billy Miller says, "Amen." God turned his mess into a message, his test into a testimonial. And Coach Chuck, you are no longer going to be known as that high school football coach. You are going to be that coach that helps people move from their mess into the manifestation of their message as well. I declare and decree that upon your life right now in Jesus' name.
Amen.
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 So tell us how they can get in contact with you and get more information about Me Inc. now. And then also take this opportunity to talk about some of the coaching that you're already doing within Me Inc. now.
Okay, so you can go on my website, all small caps, all together, MEINCNOW. MEINCNOW. Okay, or you can go on to Facebook. You can go on to LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn page, and I am working on my Instagram. Look, I'm just getting started. I got picked up in April. I'm actually moving pretty quick as far as my sensei, Lauren Michael Harris, is telling me I'm a fast mover, and so you can go on LinkedIn, YouTube. I have some videos on YouTube, my Facebook page, or Me Inc. Now. There's a website. My bio's there. My mission statement is there. And I have some blogs. Me Inc. Now is where the vision is to open up 3 centers: Northern California, Southern California, and Hawaii, which I have connections with. Open up 3 centers, and in those centers we have workshops. All right, currently have 9 workshops that I have put together, where we bring our young adults in. We teach them to become ambassadors. We groom them, we polish them, we grind them into being valuable ambassadors that will reach out to others, bring them in, and bring them into our center, where one night it might be Talk Stories night, another night it might be something else, it might be a workshop night, so we can bring them into a safe house like I had, and we can help them make change.
I love it. As we look at one of the pictures from the Power of We event that took place here in Chicago back in September, you can see Coach Chuck in action. And you were doing the Monopoly game, right? So tell just a little tidbit about the Monopoly game that you were sharing with these young people at the Power of We.
That is one of the workshops that I put together. I actually blew Mapawanda away when she watched it. I break down Monopoly like you've never. Look, everything in life has a message, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, it's all through a message that has been given to us from our God. Orson Welles, Gene Roddenberry, Mark Twain, all these things are coming true. So I break down Monopoly where I bring in 40 kids. I open up the library. I put the tables around. I put up and make a Monopoly board in a library. I bring in people that have career-minded stuff, such as the dog would be groomers or veterinarians, SPCA. I bring in the Navy recruiter for the ship. I bring in an auto mechanic or a salesperson for the car, and they give their testimony of career. Then we sit there and we get on the board and we play the game. We have community chest. We have all that. So here's just a little tidbit of it. So, Terrance, you're on with me. We're on go. You get to roll, and you roll a 3. Do you know where you're at?
No. Where am I at?
You are on Baltic. Now,
Baltic.
In life, you're in Baltic Avenue. In life, what is that?
In life, that is a street corner.
You are in the ghetto, bro. You are living in the hood. Why? Because Baltic and Mediterranean are the lowest price property. It might even be a hotel. I don't know. Bottom line is you're in the hood. That whole strand going all the way up over the railroad tracks, okay, past Chance into Oriental, the light blue. And what's sitting at the corner waiting for you at the hood?
The jail. Yeah.
Probation. Okay. And then you come around the corner and you make some more moves, and all of a sudden now you get on the orange St. James, okay? And you make the right move and you hit Park Place. Do you know what that represents in today's world? Because you're supposed to be putting money in the middle, right? And if you hit Park Place, you win the money in the middle. That's the lottery.
Yeah.
So you just won the lottery, okay? You're doing well. You got a hotel in the hood. Okay, you came around St. James, you put some hotels on St. James, you got property, you're monopolizing within the system of what the game tells you to do, and then you just won the lottery, so you hit Marvin Gardens, you just buy Marvin Gardens, things are going good, so now you're in upper middle class. You went from the hood to you've grown into, in the career that you're in, into upper middle class. Well, guess what? I don't care where you're at in life. This is what we're teaching the kids. You make the wrong move, you roll the dice, you make the wrong move, and you end up on that next corner is where? You're going to jail. Yeah. You're going directly to jail. You're not collecting $200. However, you got an attorney that you got from Chance, and it says here, get out of jail free. So now you give the card, you get out of jail, you're actually visiting, and you get to start over again. The bottom line is this. When we get around and we are on Boardwalk and Park Place, are you willing to go around the corner and help out the hood?
Wow.
That's the question.
That's impressive.
So we break down Monopoly like it's never been broken down in real life, because I don't coach just sports. I life.
He doesn't just coach sports, y'all. He coaches life. This is Coach Chuck Charles G. Prinzen Jr. on the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrance Leftridge. You guys, you got to check him out. Now, I want to make sure that we're putting that address out there. Is it meinknow.com or meinc.now? Which one is the red link?
Okay, well, I got to tell you that I really don't know. I'm trying to get myself a digital marketer person. I think I have one this coming weekend. I'm making a trip, and it's going to work out. The bottom line is, if you go into Google or you go on It's Me Inc. now. Okay, you can capitalize it. Just go in and it will come up. And then when you click it, my mission statement comes up. And then on the bottom of my mission statement is coming up in the golden age. That is my 2,800 word, which I think I showed you, my 2,800 word article in Foster Focus magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Now here it is. With all the stuff that he could, the owner of Foster Focus magazine could have did when my article came out. This is how God is so good. I'm a football coach. Look at the cover that was on Foster Focus magazine for September 2016. A football helmet. God is good every day.
There's the picture right there. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to bring this down to a close. But again, you know, Coach Chuck, I want you to go back and look at this. I want you to go back and see how far God has brought you. I want you to really see the manifestation of your prayer and his promise to you. He may not have brought you through the way you wanted to come through, but he brought you through the way you needed to come through for this moment in time, for this message that you have parlayed from your mess that is now going to have massive results to the masses as you continue to share your message. Because I want you to know, I want you to know your mess and your message were never for you alone. They were for somebody else. And you are going to change some lives with your message. But I guarantee you that you're going to save some lives as well with your message. Amen. So I applaud you and I thank you for sharing your transparency and sharing your story with us here at the Unstoppable Story Show. And I know you got Sensei Lauren Harris in your corner, but know that you've got Terrance Leftridge in your corner too. And whatever I can do to help you continue to get your message out to the masses, just call my name and I'll be there, brother. All right.
Yes, sir. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Right. Hey, just know this in ending. Every single one of us upon conception, when the polywog hits the egg, God has given us a path. He never said it was going to be beautiful. He never said, but it's a purpose for the path that he has given you. And in that path, he has given you an hourglass. And every single one of us have sand in an hourglass that God has given us in order for us to continue the purpose that he gave to us when he gave us life.
I love it. And we would be remiss if we let the sand run out in our hourglass without sharing our message with the world, because that is our purpose. So thank you for walking in your purpose. Thank you for being you. I'm going to send you back down to the green room. So don't disconnect, but don't eat up all the food. Every time I get a guest, I go down there, I eat up all the food. You know, a brother hungry.
Chicken wings are good, man. The chicken wings are good, dude. I tell you, I'm a connoisseur and they're good.
All right. Coach Charles G. Prinzen Jr., Me Inc. Now. Thank you so much, my brother. And as always, you know what I say, don't just make it a great day in your world, make it an unstoppable day, brother. All right?
Amen. God bless you. And everybody listening, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Charles G. Prinzen Jr. on the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrance Leftridge. Man. You know, we take for granted some things sometimes. We take for granted domestic violence, you know, and it's something that we hear so much about now that we become numb to it, especially if it hasn't touched you or touched your circle of influence. But when you hear Charles' story, just like when you heard Whit Devereaux's story last week, you understand that even though some things that happen to you are beyond your control, you still have control of how you react to those situations and how you use those situations to change not only your life, but the lives of others. Wit talked about how she used the situation to change the life for her daughter so that her daughter would never have to deal with what she had to deal with. Charles talks about how he changed his life so that he could find the love of his life again, so that he could restore the relationships with his family again, so that he could share his message now with other women so that they can find strength through his story to leave their situation and to go be unstoppable elsewhere. This is why we do this show. This is why Unstoppable Stories exist, so that the stories of the people who have gone through can now encourage you and motivate you so that you can go through, and then you can in turn motivate and encourage somebody else, and over and over and over again. I thank you all for watching the Unstoppable Stories show with Terrance Leftridge. Thank you for all the comments. I thank you for all of you who watched. I hope you will continue to share this out, especially this month, because this month is not over. And domestic violence doesn't end or begin in October. It's happening somewhere 24/7. So somebody not only needs to hear this story between October 1st and October 31st, somebody's going to need to hear this story on November 1st, December 1st, January 1st, February, March, April. It's never too late to share this story. So I hope you will share this video out to someone that you know that might be in this situation so that they can know that if they decide to change me first, then they, and in turn, can change the world. And if you know somebody who has an unstoppable story and they need to have an outlet where they can share their message to the masses, then by all means, please reach out to me. You can send a direct message here to the Unstoppable Stories page, or you can email me at info@unstoppablecoaching.com. Info@unstoppablecoaching.com. I wish I could type as fast as I talk, but I can't. So, and I don't want to get it wrong. So there you go. Info@unstoppablecoaching.com. And who knows, they may be the next guest on the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. And as in parting, as always, no matter where you are in the world today, and I love you too, Arthur Marie, no matter where you are in the world today, don't just make it a great day. Change the me, change the world, and then you too will make it an unstoppable day. Take care.